Hi, I'm Paul Vunak. Welcome to the JKD Street Fighting Series. This particular tape is on headbutts, knees, and elbows. Why do we allocate a whole tape on 3 tools? Why not locks, flips, and throws? Well, this is the JKD Street Fighting Series, and for street fights, headbutts, knees, and elbows seem to work quite well. When you're in a range that you can throw your elbow or your head or your knee at a guy's groin, this is a range that is totally unfamiliar to street fighters. It is totally unfamiliar to boxers. It's totally unfamiliar to kickboxers or karate people. This is something that Bruce Lee found out. He wanted to get into this particular range called trapping range, and he would trap the hands up using his pre-existing art of Wing Chun. Once the hands are trapped in this position, when you bury an elbow or a headbutt or a knee, you're going to take a guy out of commission. So what Bruce did was he incorporated a little bit of Thai boxing, a little bit of Wing Chun's economy of motion, a little bit of Kali's rhythm, and the way he would throw the headbutts, the knees, and the elbows is totally unfamiliar with anyone else. So what I'd like you to do is, first of all, see where we use these tools, how we use them, and how we get into them. You need to know that to get into trapping range, you had to have had countless thousands of hours kickboxing to where you're into what we call clinch range. The minute we're into clinch range, we throw the boxing and the kicking out, and we implement the Wing Chun right to this point. And now the headbutts, the knees, and the elbows come in. In Bruce's art of Wing Chun, he noticed that after the battle punch, and then the opponent would flare or cover, this wouldn't necessarily take out the big guy. So after this battle punch, he needed to throw in that elbow. He needed to throw in that headbutt or that knee. These are the tools that Bruce found to take a person out of commission. He can't simply continue with the battle punch against a 6'8" Samoan. So these tools Bruce honed and developed. And you need to know they're done out of a range called trapping range. Okay, Stu, let me borrow you. Now, what you need to understand is when you're in a street fight and you get into that clinched range, there is always one line open, sometimes 2. So we have 3 lines of attack on the body. Each line represents one of our tools. A headbutt is the high line, the elbows are the middle line or the punches, and the knees are the low line. So the headbutts, knees, and elbows. The minute we clinch here, let's say we're clinched in this position in a fight, well, there's 2 lines closed here, the high and the middle. Well, the low lines are open. Let's say we're clinched right here. Now what 2 lines are closed? The middle and the low. Boom, the high's open. If all 3 lines are closed, I don't know what they're doing, but they're not fighting. So the point is, and immediately when you're in a street fight, immediately when you get into trapping range, what you're really learning is to find the line that's open and to hit it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take you through some different trapping sequences that get you right into the headbutt. Once again, reiterating that the way we headbutt knee and elbow is to first trap the hands up. The Wing Chun precedes our headbutts, knees, and elbows, as opposed to Thai boxers, which they do it out here. So when they come in, they get clinched. And you don't get that boom, you don't get that clean shot because the guy's not standing here. So when you combine the occupying center line theory of Wing Chun, trapping the hands up, and then throwing Wing Chun out and putting in this, oh, you've got a different animal altogether. So let's play with that concept. Now, before we go into our actual traps that precede our headbutts, our knees, and our elbows, I want to go through the mechanics with you. The mechanics of a headbutt, or an elbow, or a knee, are very similar to the mechanics of a boxing punch. If you take a guy that just steps in the gym for the first time, he's going to throw a jab and a cross and a hook. And after about 5 years of doing it well, you're going to see the whole body going behind everything. And that makes all the difference in the world. If you see a guy headbutt like that, that to me is like a guy throwing a punch like that. I have never seen anybody headbutt the right way. There is a way, there's a mechanic that you headbutt. If you don't do it that way, all you're going to do is piss this guy off. And where do you headbutt him? Well, first of all, people say this is the thickest part of the skull. I don't care, it hurts more. Okay? Up here is where you headbutt somebody. The top of your head to their face. A headbutt is not like 2 elephant seals bucking heads together. A headbutt, you're slamming the top of your head into your opponent's face. And most of the time, you're also pulling his face into your head. So it's like two cars colliding. With an elbow, you never elbow with the whole forearm. I'm not saying that's not going to hurt, but it's not going to do the kind of damage we want to do. When we hit with our elbow, it's just that last maybe inch in diameter, maybe the size of a quarter. And that's all you're doing, is you're burying that part of the elbow. So if you've got a guy's head this close and you go to elbow him, you can end up hitting here unless you have the right mechanics, unless the body can talk. Same thing with the knee. You don't want to be throwing a knee at a guy and hitting in here. When you throw a knee at somebody, you want just that to hit. So there's a prerequisite in order to take a guy out of commission with a headbutt, the knee, and the elbow. And that's body mechanics. Body mechanics is something that is very difficult to teach. So what I'd like you to do is watch what I'm doing. Watch how I'm exaggerating slightly the body mechanics. We're going to take a little bit of Wing Chun, and we're going to flow from Wing Chun right into the headbutts. It's important for you to understand that this is just a very basic, raw, beginning, rudimentary way to train. But in order to do this right, you have to progress until you've got a guy in front of you who's really trying to hit you. He's a good boxer. He's got that helmet on. You're moving around, and you have to enter past those punches. Most of the time, you'll probably precede it with a blast, trap up the hands, boom, and then do it. Unless you can do that, all of this is absolutely irrelevant. Okay, Pat, let's bring you in here. This is our first trap we're going to do. All I'm going to do is show how Pat's going to block with one hand, and I'm going to use a little bit of Wing Chun, and I'm going to come in with a headbutt. I'm going to go nice and slow, and I want you to watch the mechanics. So we're moving around like a boxer. What I'm doing is, that's my first move. That's sort of his reaction, is to give me that. Now what I'm trying to do here is, boom, I'm trying to get in and get that shot. Let's say, Pat, you kind of take a half step back and you block that. So when I go here, boom, this is where we're at. Now I want to get that elbow. If I reach from here, I get it, but I'm not really going to bury it. If I start, let's say, from here and I try to come in from here, I'm not really going to bury it. So I need to get that hand trapped up. So watch what we're doing here. So as I go in here and I go to here, boom, now I've got the hands trapped. You notice this position, and then boom, that's the headbutt. So let's look at that combination. This is all I want you to do, is go through this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then gradually you move around a little bit and you speed it up. Boom, boom, boom. And you get that feeling over and over again. 1, 2, boom. Now what I'd like to do is give you a similar circumstance where I'm jabbing low. We're drawing the opponent's attention down low. He comes up and we block. This time the energy he gives you is, instead of holding center line, he's going to cross it. This is going to get us into an immediate lob saw from Wing Chun. Then we're going to throw Wing Chun out. We're going to go right into the headbutt. Once again, I want you to see how the headbutt is done and how we're building a progression. We're starting from these reference points, but eventually, by the end of the tape, we're going to be doing it from out here, and that's where it's at. Okay, so let's watch the mechanics of the next few moves. Let's do it. Now, what you got to remember here, we're out in this range. Eventually, I want to have it to where he has boxing gloves on. Eventually, I want to have it to where he's trying to hit me. He's trying to actually come in and do his thing to me, and then I get this energy and I do it. But before we do that, we have to go through the techniques. We have to know what we're doing. Okay, so watch what we're doing here. As I'm feeding this, and then I come into this right here, but see the energy, see how he's pushing? For me to do the first technique that I did against Pat, I would have to run around like this to do this and get my headbutt in. So the economy of motion, because of the Wing Chun, is that I just bend that to here. I'm feeling the pressure of that, and then I'm going to here. But once you hit, boom, a few times, boom, then we're going to get that in. All right, so let's look at the mechanics, and we'll just go through the whole thing. It's boom, boom, boom. Okay, one more time. So if you're noticing the rhythm of low to high, boom, to the headbutt. I'm trying to get between the backhand and the headbutt is a half beat. So One more time. This might be a full beat. This might be a full beat. But this is, that's the half beat. The minute my head hits this, bam, the knee is going to go there, and then the elbow is going to come in. And it's just going to keep alternating, high, low, high. Now let's move along to just another reference point. The first energy that your opponent gave you was when we threw the low jab down, he blocked with that front hand. That's a common energy. Now, a more experienced fighter might just pat with a rear hand. You never know who's going to do what. Okay, still. So what we're going to be doing is, once again, if you notice, the first thing I'm doing is I'm drawing his attention down. That's how I get things to go up. It's a progressive indirect attack. So as I draw the attention down, I'm going to come back up again, and I'm going to go for the hook. Let's get you at this angle right here, Stuart. What I'm attempting to do, we're boxing, we're moving around. Remember, bam, that's my first thing. I'm trying to hit him. Okay, I'm trying to get that, or I'm trying to get that. But as I'm moving around, boom, that's the energy I get. I'm trying to go, bam, and get that as the slap. We want to cut that ear. Okay, as soon as we can get that ear, we ring the bell, brrr, we go into that. However, things aren't working quite right, and he's blocking, he's having a good day. So this is where that headbutt comes in. So as we're moving around here, I'm going boom, boom. Right at this point here, boom, that's when the headbutt is there. Normally, he's going to put that hand up, he's just looking right at you. So follow the rhythm. I'm moving around, bang, and as soon as I go pop, boom, that's the headbutt. Watch it one more time slowly. Boom, boom. Now, if he feels that you're about to headbutt him, or he just has an intuitive instinct to back up, just to lean back, that's when I'm going to take the thigh. So as I come in here, it's boom, boom. Now see how he's pushing himself back a little bit? I'll initiate with the thigh. This time, Stu, I want you to give me a whole full step back. Okay, so we're moving around here. I go boom, boom, boom. That's when I take the thigh again. If I wanted to follow up, it would probably look something like this. Boom, boom, bam, bam, boom, 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 and then back into that. So that's our follow-up. Now, before we move on to the particulars of how to headbutt knee and elbow and get into the different positions, I have to reiterate this point. And that is, you need to have that instinctive feeling of when to enter and how to enter. And there's only one way to do that. You need to step in the different arenas. You need to step into the arena with the boxer. You need to step into the arena with the Thai boxer and the kicker, even the karate man. This is the point. You need to get in with these guys, full contact. When you can get that timing, which is, it's an intangible thing. I can't put a finger on what exactly that is, but there's a timing that tells you when to get in. And you're going to watch. I'm going to bring two of my boys out, and they're going to spar. They're just going to move around just light, and they're going to box. But I want you to see just how many times they clinch. And right at that point, this is where we would throw out boxing and put in all this. Okay? So I want you to first of all watch the match and watch the clinching. Okay, Pat, Stuart, come on out. Just work light, move around, get up on the toes. Okay, go ahead. Okay, break. Now, give me a helmet. Now, what we're going to do is Pat and I are going to do the same thing, with the exception that I am not going to sit in and box with him. I'm going to try to get out of that element as soon as possible. I'm going to try to get into my game. I'm going to try to get into this. Now, remember, you can't get out of the element of boxing unless you've been in the element of boxing. You have to have boxed and put in the flight time. You have to have put in the flight time at the Thai boxing, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't mean you have to be a professional boxer. You don't have to be the best Thai boxer to beat a Thai boxer. You just got to kind of know their thing. It's like knife fighting. To defend against the knife, you got to learn how to use a knife. Now, my goal right now is I'm going to kick the thigh, I'm going to enter, and right when we get into clinch range, when the boxer's going to go down to work the body is when I'm going to be putting this in. So just try to count the opportunities when I am trying to get out of boxing and get into my game. Okay, Pat? Now you see what I'm doing is when I have that helmet, which is a lot harder to hit because it's about this big, but when you've got the helmet, is I'm always moving him around. I'm not letting him get set to throw one of those shots. And as I'm tugging and pulling, there's a shot. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, there's another shot. So I'm keeping him off balance. I'm entering, and when that appropriate time is there, I'm throwing in one of my tools. Now let's move along to our next tool, which is the knee. Once again, we're going to equate it against the boxer. He's going to move around. We don't know when we're going to make our entry. It's going to be a sort of intuitive thing. The one thing I am going to add as a sort of prerequisite in this scenario is that I'm going to have a wall against me so I can slam Kurt up against the wall. If I'm fighting a boxer, I don't want to get in and box a boxer. I want to end it as quickly as possible. Once again, I want to get into my game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to find that timing. I'm going to ride one of those tools back and use the forward pressure of Wing Chun. And then I'm just going to kick right into the knee. When you knee somebody, there are various parts on the body you can knee them at. This nerve that runs down the leg, this sciatic nerve, great spot. The groin, great spot. Anywhere in up here, great. This particular case, we're going to be kneeing probably somewhere in this area. We don't have a cup on, probably somewhere in this area. All right, Kurt. Now, Kurt's just doing his thing. This is not pre-rehearsed. He's trying to hit me. When I feel it right, I'm going to just go in. When I go in, the knees are going to fly. This is how you have to train. It can't be a one or two step thing. It can't be a kata mentality or a pre-rehearsed thing. Everything has to come out of movement. You have to have the element of timing every time you do a technique. Otherwise, when the street fight comes, you're going to miss the timing, have all the techniques in the world, and lose. Okay. Now, as we saw there, all I did was I waited a little bit. I allowed him to initiate. He threw the jab in. I kind of waited. I waited a little bit, and then I grabbed him. All I did was shove him. I ran with forward pressure until I got the knee in. Notice when I finally had him slammed on the wall, I had him pinned here to a point to where he wasn't moving. Then that's when a couple of the knees came in. If you simulate the knee, boom, then you go back to the headbutt. But his hands are pinned because I've got him up against the wall. So this is the street mentality. Even though we use the boxer's mode of entry, we still have that street mentality, that savvy. Now in our next scenario, what we're doing is we're fighting the boxer once again. And fighting the boxer, we don't want to fight in boxing range. So every time he starts to encroach, we're going to get that kick off. We're going to intercept. It's either going to be a shuffle kick to the groin or probably a rear leg kick to the thigh or maybe a jeet-tek, that little side kick. As soon as we make that entry, as soon as we make that kick, we're trying to blast. Since this isn't our blast tape, what I'm going to be doing is just grabbing the neck, and I'm going to be throwing the knees in. I'm going to isolate the knees on the thigh for this particular drill. Remember, these are just drills. These are bits and pieces of the street fight. So we can make our own rules. We can say this one we're boxing, this time we're going against the kicker, this time the Thai boxer. Okay, let's do Thai boxing and go for foot sweeps. You just keep making it up. You'll never be bored. But the main thing, the main element is when you do make it up, whatever drill you want to come up with, you do it out of movement, you do it out of reality, and the guy really tries to hit you. So Brad here is going to really try to hit me sparring, and my goal is going to be to kick his thighs before he gets into his range, grab the neck and start kneeing him in the groin and in the thigh. We'll see how it goes. Now, if you notice, what I'm doing is I'm waiting. The first thing I'm waiting to do is for him to come in. As soon as I saw him coming in, bam, take the thigh. The second time I saw him coming in, boom, I take the groin. Now, I'm not thinking that's going to beat him, but that is just my entry. From there, we would kick into this. I didn't do that, I just grabbed the head. Once you got the head, he can't really get in with a good body shot. Now I'm coming in with the knees. That was our next drill. Let's play with it. Up until this point, most of the opponents that we've been equating ourselves with have been the boxer. Why have I been doing this? Well, to enter on somebody, in our opinion, the boxer is possibly the most difficult subject. And the reason being, he's always up on his toes, he's always moving, he's a moving target here, but his feet are always moving, and he's sticking that jab out. Every time you try to come in, bam, he jabs you. So this is a difficult person to enter on. If you can enter on the professional boxer to get into this, everybody else is quite easy. You get a karate guy that's way down here, it's a lot different to enter on that man. You get a Thai boxer even, they're lacking the footwork because they're right here. Thai boxers have other things that are wonderful. Look at Bruce's concept. Take a little from Thai boxing, take a little from Western boxing. When we're thinking about ourselves in the street fight, we picture a guy 6'8", 270 pounds, been in prison half his life, bent on your destruction. When I think about who do I want to enter on, I picture a boxer moving around with footwork like a Leonard. So this is the concept. If I want to think who do I want to enter on a kicker, I picture the best kicker I can think of, say a Daniel Doobie. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to take our entry and move it on to the kicker. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the elbow to destroy the kick. But you're going to see just how easy it is to destroy a kick and enter. Because first of all, what the man uses to back up with, being his legs, well, one of them's up in the air. So the minute you blow that leg away, he's only got one leg to hop back with while you're doing the 50-yard dash down the center line. That's a lot different from the boxer. So you're going to see me moving around, not necessarily trying to box that boxer, that kickboxer, but I'm going to have the hands up, whacking on the thigh a few times. As soon as I see the kick come in, I'm going to try to blow it away. When I blow it away with the destruction, the minute I do that, I'm just going to come in with a blast. That's where we're going to flow into whatever seems to be there. Okay, Brad, come on in, throw the helmet on. Okay. Good. Now, if you notice, I was waiting for the kick to come. The highest kick is the best kick to enter on. Boom, did my destruction, but I used that motion to follow up with a straight blast. Got him backpedaling and finished it up. Now for our next phase of the tape, I'm going to be combining the art of Dumog with the headbutts, the knees, and the elbows. Dumog, once again, is Filipino wrestling. Dumog is the art of moving a body from point A to point B in a very rapid, ballistic way. You're going to pull a body very quickly. It's a violent jerk, and you need to do this in a fight. There's a time and a place that you need just to grab a body and pull it or shove it. Tai Chi is the art of shoving, and Dumog is the art of pulling. That's one way to look at it. But when you do pull this guy, if you combine it with a headbutt, well, you're sort of squaring the power. Okay, Kurt, let me first of all give you an example of how we've used Dumog, because this is not our tape on Dumog, but I want to integrate it for the headbutts and the elbows. And then we're going to put the gear on, and we're going to do it for real. So let's say Kurt gives me a jab. Boom, that's my first move. I always take out that nerve. As soon as we get that there, that's our entry. Now, when I get this, boom, boom, right to here, I'm going to pull this here. That's my first pull. This is the Dumog. The fact that my hand is here. Now, watch his head. He's sort of looking at me, and I'm here, but watch where the temple exposes itself, right there. Now, at that point is when I would integrate the headbutt. So let's look at that again. It's boom, boom, bam, and that's the headbutt. Okay, so let's put on the gear, Kurt. Now, you're going to notice, as soon as I make my entry, I'm going to pull him, but I'm just simply now going to drive the head in. Remember, this makes no sense at all unless you know how to enter, unless you've timed it. So you've done this 1,000 times against a boxer. We're now isolating the part where we're just in close. Okay, Kurt, jab, boom, boom, boom. Okay, so once again, I get this much. Go ahead. I get that there. The minute I take the nerve, boom, and I hit that here, that's when I'm going to pull. Now watch the reverberation in the head. Boom. That's the headbutt. The minute I get that bam, that's the knee. So those are my two shots going from high to low. But what's improving the power of the headbutt? When I go 1, 2, 3 is this. I'm pulling his body into the headbutt as opposed to just headbutting him. I'm pulling him into me. The minute I pull this, boom, that's there. Then we're going to go into it, the next available line. So this is the key, combining arts. Now moving along, the first thing we did off the jab was we took the inside destruction. Sometimes because of the position of your hand, it's going to be more economical to take that eye jab from the outside. I want to illustrate how we can headbutt out of that, going right into the control on the arm. Okay, so Kurt gives me a jab, boom. As soon as this comes in, that's my eye jab. So what I'm trying to do, using collie, is zone right to here. But right at this point, I'm going to grab the humerus right here and give that pull. Now watch the neck again. That's the pull I'm looking for. That's what's going to give your headbutt its power. So as soon as he jabs, boom, boom, and that's my headbutt. Let's put on here. Once again, this is not going to do you any good unless he's really trying to hit you. But for sake of time, and to stay within the confines of our 1-hour videotape, we're not going to have Kurt move around every time we do a technique, try to jab, get into that range, and then do the technique. We're just going to isolate the technique. But for you at home training, you absolutely have to do every technique against the man moving around on his toes, trying to hit you. Okay, Kurt, come on in. Give me the jab. Boom, boom. That's all you're doing. Why the helmet? Just to give you that feeling to sink it in. I might take the inside line sometimes. I might take the outside line sometimes. I might take from the headbutt, go to the knee. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so the point is, you're learning how to use every tool on your body in trapping range. Now let's move to another variable, and that is the opponent throws a jab, he blocks with the rear hand, and he crosses center line. What I want to bring up, Kurt, Brooke, come on in here. First of all, is I want you to start seeing the common thread. We have an energy drill tape, which is working the who butt. We're needing to find the time here to find all the Dumog positions out of that. So we have the Dumog tape, which we're working the Dumog out of the energy drills. Then we back off into this, and he jabs, and we're doing the same thing off of that. So what you're starting to notice is a common thread. Now the energy that Kurt gave me was this. I came to here, and he held center line. When he holds center line right here, all I did was pull off of this arm, and that was into my headbutt. This time what Kurt's going to do is he's going to cross center line. I'm going to come off this angle, and boom, that's going to be the headbutt. Okay, once you go ahead and put on the gear. And once Kurt is boxing, he throws the jab, he comes in with a cross. I would have to time that. I would have to time getting into trapping range. If that particular sequence is there, I would go for it. You might go 2 years and never be in that position. And then one day you happen to be there and that technique comes out. And you'll just say to yourself, geez, I remember that from 3 years ago. That's sort of how this art is. Remember, all we're doing is we're giving each other different reference points. And from these reference points, we're applying the appropriate techniques. Headbutts are pretty appropriate. Okay, come on in, Kurt. Just cross center line on that. So we're going right to here, boom, and that's our headbutt. So again, slowly, here was our first one, which held center line, and I pulled to here. The second one, I feel the energy to here crossing center line, and I come to that. One more time, jab, boom, boom, boom. So that's all we're doing. I'm feeling the energy and doing it. If I couldn't feel the energy, I didn't have energy drills to work, I'd be stuck in there. So I use a little Wing Chun to go around it, then I throw Wing Chun out and I kick in the headbutt, using the appropriate art, JKD. Now in this next segment, what I'm going to do is I'm going to isolate our elbows. Brad's going to come in and kickbox, and I'm going to use the elbows as tools to destroy whatever weapons come in. Remember, as a collie man, we don't see a punch or a kick coming in as a weapon that's going to hurt us. We see it as a target that we want to hit. And using our elbows is a good way to destroy the target. When that fist comes in, if you can time that elbow hitting that fist, you're going to completely blow that thing away. Not many people are going to come back and hit you with this hand. Same thing with a foot. So we're going to use our elbows, anything we see, and blow it away. Once I do that, I'm going to go to Wing Chun. I'm going to use my blast to get the pressure going, and then I'm just going to continue the elbows on the face. But unlike Thai boxing, we're not going to start out in long range and come flying in to use an elbow on the head, because the problem with that is if you get a Leonard, he's going to stop, hit you with that jab between here and there. But in regular boxing, they don't have the elbows that the Thais have. So here's Bruce saying, we'll take the Thai boxing elbow, but we'll take the timing of, let's say, a Sugar Ray Leonard and the economy of motion of Wing Chun and the rhythm of Kali, and we're going to put it all together. So we're going to see everything as a target with the elbows and just progress our way in. All the way from the limbs, working in the blast, to the face. Okay, Brad. So we're just poking around here. Brad's throwing the punches. I'm just blowing away anything I see. Now what we're going to do is sort of put it all together. I'm going to put the headbutts and the knees and the elbows in. There's not going to be a set rule of what we're doing, a set way. I'm going to come in with a few punches. I'm going to get an obstruction. As soon as I get an obstruction, I may come in with a knee. I may come in with a headbutt. You're going to see what I'm doing. I'm blending the Dumog with the Wing Chun, with the headbutts, knees, and the elbows. Okay, Kurt, come on in. Once again, this is representing the part of the fight in which we've already been from long range and entered. For whatever reason, we've entered to this position, boom, and that's our first shot. From here, bang, I'm here. If I get to boom, boom, that would be there. If, let's say, I go for the headbutt, and Kurt, you kind of back off a little bit there, boom, that's the knee. If I go for the knee, you sort of get out of the way with the knee, boom, that's into the headbutt. So whatever I'm doing, I'm always feeling the energy to get in with my next shot. If I go with an elbow on horizontal, boom, this is a vertical upper, boom, that's just back to the headbutt. Come back to here, boom, I'm down to the foot sweep. So whatever I'm trying to do, everything's flowing. Sort of like water fitting in the cracks. And once you do this over and over and over again, who do you think's going to win when you get in trapping range? Since I'm a little bit short on volunteers, what I'd like to do is demonstrate exactly what a headbutt's going to do on, let's say, a melon. I'd like to reiterate exactly why the headbutts, the knees, and the elbows are being used. First of all, these are tools that take people out of commission. When you headbutt somebody, they don't survive that. You can punch somebody in the face, that's going to piss them off. You headbutt somebody, they're going down. You take your elbow and you rake it across somebody's face 5 or 6 different times, their natural reaction is to do this. It's going to open up the face right away. The blood's going to go into the eyes. They can't see the stinging effect, the whole thing. There's no more vicious tool than an elbow. When you drive your knee into someone's groin or into the thigh, it completely buckles them from here. And when you use these tools in combination with each other, well, that's what we're looking for. And the thing about an elbow or a headbutt is you can do it until you're 80 years old. When you're 30, you're going to headbutt that fast. When you're 50, it's going to be that fast. Or how long do you have to train a headbutt? You're going to headbutt the bag 2 hours a day to get better at it? So these are tools that we can use whether we're sick, tired, hungover, I don't care. You get into a fight, you're in slippery ground, you just grab hold, boom, and it's always there. It's applicable to any person, any fighting range. As soon as we get into trapping range, we're going to beat somebody. So in conclusion, I'd like to say, keep it up, work the headbutts, work the knees, try to go through the whole tape very slowly, work everything slowly, and the key word is progression. Happy headbutting.